Chassidic gems on Parshas Tetzaveh. It says in the Pasuk, V'ato Tetzaveh es b'nei Yisrael, you should command the children of Israel, v'yikchu elecha, and they should take unto you shemen zayis, pure zoch, pure olive oil, kosis lamoer, beaten for the light, which means, Rashi explains, that the oil that was used for the menorah was beaten, pounded in a vessel, in a mortar, which is a vessel to pound the olives, and not to grind them in a rechaim with millstones, so that there shouldn't be any sediment. So the way to have clear oil without sediment is to just pound it in a little vessel. And after the first drop comes out of that olive, then later he could put the olives in a millstone and grind them. The second oil is posel lamenoira, is unfit for the candlestick. For kosher limenochais, and it's kosher for meal offerings. The oil that is going to be used for the menorah has to be clear, and no rechaim, just mortar. It should be clear without any sediments. So the Gemara says, kosis lamoer v'loi kosis lamenochais. It has to be beaten for the light, beaten, pounded, and it doesn't have to be beaten and pounded for meal offerings. For meal offerings, they could put it in a rechaim and grind it. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah are telling us like this. They're saying that kosis means crushed in a mortar. Crushed means crushed is being used in the Chassidic Torah as somebody who humbles himself. If he's able to humble himself, it's a very, very, very great thing. Kosis, but it has to be on condition. It has to be lamoyer. There's going to be benefit at the end of it. The humbling oneself is not going to make the person depressed. The humbling will be lamoyer, to give light. So therefore, through the humbling himself, he will elevate himself, and it should be light for him. It should be good coming out of it. But if somebody humbles himself and he works on his gaiva and he becomes such an onav that he has to go lay down afterwards, lamenochis would mean lay down. He has to lay down. He's all depressed because he humbled himself so much. That's no good. Kosis lamoir, he could humble himself if it's going to produce something good. It's going to give light to him. not if he humbles himself lamanoches, where he's going to get sick out of it, and he's going to become depressed. That's no good. Similarly, when it comes to hoichiach techiach hamisecha, if a person has to rebuke somebody, he has to rebuke somebody and crush the other person with a goal of lahoir darkai, that his way should become better, right? That's lamoir. Kosis lamoir. He could humble the other person if it's going to bring light out of it. But you're not allowed to rebuke somebody in order to make him have to lay down. Loi kosis lamanoches, and not crush the other person so that he has to get sick out of it. Okay, continuing with Chassidic Teirelach, and the pasuk says again, "V'yikchu elecha shemen zayis zoch kosis." It should be pure, and it should be kosis. It should be crushed, pure and crushed, as we spoke before, without the sediment, clear. That's the simple. Rav HaKodesh Rabbi Nosson mi Breslov says, just like oil that goes out of the olive through crushing, so similarly, the body of the human being cannot become pure and clear before he crushes from him all his temptations. So we have zoch. How do you purify yourself? Through kosos, through crushing. Simply it means with the oil, but here it means for the human being too, that how does one purify himself? How does one? By crushing from him all the temptations that are pulling him away from Hashem. Okay, we have a great classic, Chassidic classic. It says in the Torah that the Kohen Gadol, the robe that the Kohen Gadol wore, had in it in its hem, it had bells, golden bells, so that when the Kohen Gadol will come into the Kodesh Kadoshim, the bells will be ringing that he's entering, and also when he leaves. That's what it says in the Torah. That's the simple. So that's what it says in the Torah. V'nishma koiloi b'voyoi el hakodesh. You could hear the sound of the bells when he comes into the Holy of Holies. That's the simple. Harav HaKodesh Reb Tzvi Elimelech Mibluzhev says, this is a remez. This alludes that a person should exert a lot of effort during his lifetime, that also when he will enter the Kodesh, B'vo el HaKodesh, which means after 120, and he goes to Olam Haba, we should still be able to hear Sifseisav Doiva voice. We should be able to hear his Talmidim, his students, speaking about things they heard from their Rebbe, who is now in Gan Eden. V'nishma koiloi, a person should try to exert effort in learning and have Talmidim so that when even after he is nifter and he goes through Gan Eden, still, v'nishma koilai, still you can hear his voice. People are saying over his Torah, even when he's in Gan Eden, sifseisav doivavois bekeva, his voice will still be giving out Torah. We should all be zeicher to this. Amen.